Okay, we're going to try to take a look at our new toy, which is called Factory I/O, which is kind of a PLC simulator. It's pretty cool looking. So, Factory I/O. Let's open it up. And what it is, it's a virtual reality simulation. You can put in all these different scenes for whatever you want. Now, right now, what we're using it for and what we have is we have a scene, a simple scene that we're doing for an Allen Bradley machine, and then we're also doing for a Siemens machine. And right now the idea for this is to try to see how it works with the Allen Bradley and then kind of transfer over to the Siemens machine for students who haven't used it for the first time. So what we've got, if I can walk us over here, is we've got a little platform that we've got both of our PLC versions. So we've got an Allen Bradley over here. This is just a power supply and a network switch. But this is the Siemens, so it's a S7 1200, and we've got a Allen Bradley Micrologix 1100. So what you can do, and all you need to do is just have the unit itself. It doesn't need any wiring or cabling. It only needs power and the unit. And so Factory I/O, it talks through the Ethernet to the machine, and they transfer input and outputs through the Ethernet channels. There's a little setup that you have to do. It's not too bad. But, you know, there's no input-output wiring like you have to do with a real PLC. So it saves in a little bit of wiring. Now, if we look at this, for our demonstration here, we've already got, what we're going to do is we're going to transfer boxes down the line. Big boxes go to the left, smaller, shorter boxes go to the right. So we still have our regular Allen Bradley, and we'll show Allen Bradley, and this is ladder logic that does everything. Now, one of the things with the Factory I/O that you can do is you can go in there and you can well, in these view things, you can show all tags, and right here, all the circles, those are your sensors, and these green buttons that have the little line through them, those are actuators. And what you can do is you can force them to certain states. So if we look at this, the thing that drops the box is called the emitter. So if I could get the scene to stop moving around. So we force the emitter and we start it running, and it'll drop a box on the scene, and there's the box. Now the next thing is we can do conveyor entry, and that'll start moving it down the conveyor. So there we start moving it down. Now we can stop the simulation for our purposes right now, reset it, and we take these out of the force conditions. And now what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to, well, we need to first reset the PLC. And now hopefully we can get it running with the Factory I/O. Now to get it running with the Factory I/O, what we need to do, and this is very irritating with the screen moving like this, but if we get out of here and we look at this file, we can go into the drivers. And the drivers will have it set up, and you can set up what type of controller you want. But we have it set up for a Allen Bradley Micrologix 1100, and well, this tells us all the sensors we have at our disposal. But if we go into the drivers, this gives us all the inputs. Now notice that it uses the B inputs here, and then it has the regular outputs here. But once you have it all set up, you just connect it up, and hopefully we'll get connected, and this will give us real time what it is. Now, because of what we did before, it still has conveyor entry and load. So if we go back, now this puts it in the run mode, and now we should be talking with the Allen Bradley. And the way we have it set up is we just, like normal, we have a control panel here. We just hit the start, and the box appears. Now it's going to come down. This is a tall box, should go left. Now again, we're controlling everything via the PLC, and what happens when it gets here is we have this little removal thing that makes it disappear and another one reappear. So this will go on and we'll keep doing it. It is being controlled from the PLC, and we'll take a look at this box and then we'll see what it looks like at the PLC. And we'll actually take a look at the I/O status, so you can see that it's actually doing the switching. Again, it doesn't have any of the external connections, but inside the PLC it's doing all the work. So let's see a box appear. Okay, and now let's go over here and we're looking at the status indicators, and they're hard to see because we've got to have the lights off because we have such a shiny screen for our computer. But you can see the outputs are switching states here. Now you don't really see the inputs switching states because the inputs are really all generated in the computer. It's only the outputs that we're controlling. But again, the outputs are what's controlling what's on the screen. So, you know, we can see what's on the screen, and you know, if we look at we can also put on all the tags and whatnot, so we can see on the screen what's going on. So right now the conveyor entry just turned on, and down here the load will turn on because now we're loading it into platform. Now it's making the decision to go left, and it'll stay going left until it gets to the removal panel, and then it'll remove it from the left, and then another one comes in and the process repeats. And so we'll fire it up for the Siemens and you can see how that works. Okay, so here we are with the Siemens hookup. It's the same thing. We've got the 1200, and it's 1200/1500. It gives you what your inputs are, what your outputs are. You connect it up, and hopefully we're ready to go. So, and we've got a little different view here, but if we put it in the run mode, and if we get into our thing, okay, now we've got it set up with the Siemens, and we should be ready to go. We've got the Siemens. Siemens is a little more straightforward. It's all Ethernet based, so it does have some little simplicities to it. But if we get back in the factory I/O view, we'll make sure we've got our drivers hooked up. I always like to disconnect and reconnect right when I start up to make sure everything is working, but this is for the 1200. Here's what we got. This has the normal inputs and the normal Q outputs for the Siemens. Don't use any bit stuff. You do have to set up some of the addresses that they use at the beginning rather than just the standard addresses. So we're in the run mode, and if we turn this on, we get a box, and this is a big box. We have a different view here, but it should be going down to the top of the screen for the big box, and there it goes. And again, it'll just be like the other one. When it gets to this point, it'll magically disappear and another box will appear over here at the emitter. And you know, if you can want to see what's going on here, this turns on the load segment, and it loads it all the way. It determines which one it is, and then it rolls it out. It's a chain drive to roll it out, and then it goes on its way. And you know, this is something that we can use for the students to get used to, whether they have a Siemens or whether they have a Allen Bradley. Different controls, and you can also take different camera views at this to look at the different views. This one will be coming at us. Take a look at this camera view. That's from the other side. This is from straight on. We can look at that. Now this is probably a big box, so it'll go to the right as we're viewing. And you know, what you can do is, as it's running, you can also watch what's happening with your program, so you can determine whether it's doing what you expect it to do. You know, when we get a new box coming in, you know, we get the conveyor entry. At some point it gets to the load position when the balance sensor sees it, so it loads it. and then it goes on with transporting it to the right or transporting it to the left. And you know, then we reset this when we finished, and so you can just use it to verify your programs. So it's pretty cool. I think we'll try to use it a little bit more. And that's it for the first cut of the factory